Welcome to the Scottish Fiesta, Hot Hatch and Mini Cooper S Cup. We have Jack Davidson on pole from Stephen Gray with Simon Smail and Stuart Scott, the front end of the Fiesta grid. An action-packed race day is ahead of us here, and as we do reverse direction or the anti-clockwise configuration, Ollie Mortimer and Paul Wilson once again with Stuart Buchan, Angus Tosh and Suzanne Buist making her first appearance on the back of the Mini Cooper S Cup. So here we go. We're under starters orders. The 5-second board is lofted. Decent weather conditions at Knockhill today. The lights start to come on. 3, 4, 5 lights now. Out go the lights and down towards the hairpin go the Fiestas, and it looked like it was Jack Davidson who got the initial launch there. Yes, he cuts across the front of Stephen Gray. We've also got Stuart Scott in number 3 trying to come down. They're 3 wide behind Davidson. Simon Smail on the inside as the minis get let loose down towards the hairpin. And thankfully everybody makes it through in one piece as we go on board with Lorne Murray heading towards Hislops and the Clarks area of the circuit. But it is Jack Davidson who leads and starts to pull away at the front, looking pretty handy in this one. Is young Jack. He certainly knows his way around Knockhill now, and he's here and thereabouts. He does a little bit of racing down south as well, so we've not seen him at every round this year. But Paul Wilson leads the minis. Now there's a surprise, and that's great to see. Oh, and that was Angus Tosh. Exit stage left, and he manages to get that one back under control. Thankfully, that could have been a pretty nasty one. He rejoins just on the entrance to the chicane. Paul Wilson already making inroads to the back of Jen Marr with Ollie Mortimer as they go through Leslie's and over the crest of Duff. It's great to have Paul Wilson back on track. Good bit of competition for Ollie Mortimer as Jack Davidson heads the pack with Simon Smail in second place into the hairpin. This is Russell Morgan we go on board with. Oh, Russell misses the apex, or did he see Peter Cruikshank coming inside? Yes, he possibly did. Peter shows him right to the edge of the circuit. Russell basically has to back off the accelerator there, otherwise it was going to be a bit of contact or he was going to end up in the gravel trap. Good overtake by Peter Cruikshank on the brakes in towards the hairpin, and Russell Morgan, I believe, lost 2 places in that. And just look at the commitment by Jack Davidson there as he come through Clark Corner right out towards the edge of that curb. Car number 2, the Fiesta ST. You see Angus Tosh go through at the back after his little off-circuit moment. Paul Wilson goes underneath Lorne Murray, and Ollie Mortimer should be following through, but Paul Wilson really making hay here as they go through Leslie and over the crest of the hill. He's got a bit of a gap between himself and Ollie Mortimer, but he probably had to back off coming onto the main straight there, and that is now hurting his run over the crest of the hill as Mortimer jinks out from behind him as they go onto the brakes for the hairpin here. Stuart Scott and Stephen Gray both chasing Simon Smail. Mortimer trying to go around the outside of the red number 27 mini of Paul Wilson, and that's never going to work as we look at the actual race leader in the Fiesta ST class and also overall. This championship with a bit of support from Farmer Autocare, making their way down the back straight just now, and Paul Wilson now comes out from the back of Stuart Scott. He's going to have him before the chicane. Now Mortimer needs to follow through here, or all he's going to find himself losing out. No, he does squeeze through as well. Whether Stuart Scott just breathed on the throttle pedal just that little bit, just to not kill his momentum, but just to let Mortimer pass. And Simon Smail about to get the mini treatment as well as they come over the crest of Duffus. Paul Wilson pulls to the left-hand side. Mortimer jinks out. He tries to go underneath as well. Right in the slipstream of Paul Wilson. Paul will be looking at this in his mirror, and he'll be weighing up his options as they come in towards the hairpin of exactly what he needs to do. He defends the inside line. Mortimer tries the undercut as they come out the corner, but that's not going to happen. Wilson looked like he was pretty strong there. And is that Russell Morgan missing an apex here? But look at this. Heading towards Clark's, Ollie Mortimer almost, if Jack Davidson hadn't been there, Mortimer would have had the lead. Side by side, Davidson and Wilson, they're almost rubbing as they go down the back straight, and that might have cost Paul Wilson just a little bit, and will Mortimer manage to slide through before they get to the chicane? We'll find out in just a minute when the camera pans round, but very close with Jack Davidson and Paul Wilson. No, Wilson manages to hold it as they're now coming past the marshal's point at McIntyre's. Through the right-hander, which is Leslie's, named after David Leslie, and then over the top of Duffus Dip, pretty much flat all the way through there in these cars. Angus Tosh slides through on the inside of Russell Morgan, and Russell a little bit off pace today. We're not used to seeing him get beaten up by a lot of cars. Russell has been a front runner in the Fiesta ST Championship this year, as Peter Cruikshank has got Lorne Murray behind him as well now. Clark Corner, it's Wilson and Mortimer. We've been waiting to see this all year. It's always been the other way around, where Mortimer's been in front of Wilson, but Paul, he's been looking after the house and, yeah, children, basically. They've kind of got in the way of his racing, in a good way, he said, though, but he has missed his racing quite a lot. To come back and be ahead of Ollie straight away, brilliant news. And Ollie Mortimer will be loving this as well, because he relishes the battle and he wants more battles out there. And Jack Davidson, well, fast as you like, isn't involved in a battle, but look at Simon Smale. Relative newcomer to racing cars, Simon Smale. Very big mechanical background, though, we should say that, when it comes to cars and motorsport, but being the actual driver, pretty new. As Wilson now almost has Mortimer coming along the inside of him, and that will give Mortimer the run to Clark's. Wilson is now under attack, and look at the speed of Mortimer there. Just a few more horses under the hood of that little Mini Cooper S. Or did Wilson think, okay, let's have a look and see what you've got now, as they head through Clark Corner? Mortimer takes the lead in the Farmer Autocare Scottish Fiesta Hot Hatch and Mini Cooper S Cup. As we go on board with Lorne Murray, we're looking at the back of Peter Cruikshank as we go over Clark Corner. Angus Tosh this time really flirting with disaster. All three of those guys playing with the edge of the curb, and oh no, who's that? Was that Russell Morgan? Oh dear, dear, oh dear, it is. It's just not working. When it doesn't work for you, nothing, whatever you do, seems to be any good. And unfortunately for Russell, we're not used to seeing him back here, and we're not used to seeing him in this much trouble. However, he'll shrug it off and he'll come back stronger, one would imagine, for race number 2 later in the day. Side by side into the hairpin, Stu Buchan goes up the inside of Jack Davison. Jack tries to fight that off as much as he can, but ultimately the Mini has just that little bit more pace. And the reason why Jack didn't want to just slow down and let him have it there is Simon Smale is not that far off the back of Jack Davidson. So Jack really has to keep his wits around him and keep his foot on that accelerator pedal and going. You can see the gap there from the white Fiesta back to the blue Fiesta. That's first and second in their class. So it's pretty tight, to say the least, as they all come through. Stuart Scott, Stephen Gray, Angus Tosh in the light blue Mini, is that what colour that is? Heading down the back straight now with Lorne Murray and then Peter Cruikshank. Then a big gap back behind Peter Cruikshank. It'll be Russell Morgan that comes through. But at the front, heading towards the hairpin, we just caught a quick glimpse of Ollie Mortimer and Paul Wilson. As we now have a look at the battling pack coming through the top of Duffus, and you can see the wind's quite strong, the flag's flying quite stiffly in the breeze there. So that will hurt them as they come onto the main straight, but it should also give them a nice big push towards Clark Corner, ultimately giving them just that little bit more straight line speed performance on this straight. We're just approaching now. Tosh goes underneath Gray. Gray makes that pretty easy for him. And still Jack Davidson, car number 2, leads the way in the Fiesta ST part of this race. But overall on the road, Ollie Mortimer, car number 70, leads from Paul Wilson, his good friend and arch rival. Friends off the track, and like any other racing driver couple, arch rivals on the track. As we get the field coming through, Peter Cruikshank behind Peter. Yes, there is quite a gap back to car 37. We've not seen Suzanne Buist yet, car 132. She is still out there. She's having a bit of a battle with Jen Marr, and she is now ahead of Jen Marr on our Smart Timing Edinburgh Watch Company timing screen. But over the crest of the hill they come, streaming down to the hairpin in good sunshine. There is a stiff breeze out there, but the weather is actually quite warm, so that's always a bonus. Fastest lap of the race, 58.253 to Ollie Mortimer, driver of car number 70. And you can see he's now starting to stretch a little bit of time between himself and Paul Wilson as they just went through our shot very quickly there. So the gap up to a second now at the front, but Wilson ultimately keeping Mortimer very, very honest, and Mortimer not disappearing into the distance as we have seen so many times this season. This time, Ollie really having to work for it. A 58.2 fastest lap for Mortimer, 58.3 fastest lap of the race for Wilson, so they're circulating their fastest laps within a tenth of a second of each other. Look at the fastest Fiesta lap, fastest Fiesta ST Jack Davidson, a 101.595 for Jack. the rest of the guys the rest of the guys all in the 102 bracket as they come over the crest of the hill once again down towards the hairpin. We await to find out where Mortimer is going to spring from, because the race now getting well and truly in towards the business end of it. This Farmer Autocare Scottish Fiesta Hot Hatch and Mini Cooper S Cup race number 1. They have 2 races today, and this is quite early in the day as well. Race number 3 on the actual card itself, so we are still early morning as Jack Davidson comes through. Ooh, good grief, Jack, not leaving much on the table there, but he's having to, because Simon Smale, a very impressive run for Simon in car number 67. You take Jack Davidson out of this, Simon is showing the rest of the field a complete clean pair of heels. And why am I saying that? Because Jack hasn't done every race meeting this year, Simon has, so you know Jack's kind of in here as almost a guest, even though he's scoring points. But you take him out of the equation, the Fiestas have a bit of a new star in town, and that will be Simon Smale when they're going anti-clockwise around Knockhill. Car number 67 from just down the road at SciTech Tuning, driving for PCR, Paul Curtis Racing. He lets Angus Tosh come through on the inside of him and tries not to lose as much. That's a great use for a camper van in the background, isn't it? Sit on the roof and spectate. Perfect bit of opportunistic spectating there as we get back towards Clark Corner now. And Stuart Buchan, he makes his way down the back straight, 3rd overall just now. And Jack Davidson again, felt my whole body tensing there as he goes out towards the end of that. That will be the last lap board, getting flown by the start line marshals. So Paul Wilson, well, he's managed to hang in as much as he possibly can. The gap, 1.7 seconds last time over the line. There's Suzanne Buist, car number 132. And Jen Marr slithers through the apex of the hairpin as well. But Ollie Mortimer once again has shown us his class here in this Farmer Autocare Scottish Fiesta Hot Hatch and Mini Cooper S Cup as Mortimer comes through Clark Corner. Paul Wilson still very, very much keeping him honest as they go down the back straight. 1.8 seconds the lead at the front for Mortimer now, and well, he's had to work pretty hard for this, and Ollie will say that after the race. He'll be very honest in his post-race interview and say it's great to have Paul back, and this hasn't been an easy race as the 2 young ladies fly through the chicane and up towards McIntyre's, but onto the main straight comes Ollie Mortimer. It's been a pretty cool race for Ollie. He will be delighted with this one as he comes over the crest of the hill. There's the checker flag. It flies from the finish line. Mortimer wins 2nd place for Wilson. In 3rd place in the minis, it will be car 43, Stuart Buchan, and Stu will be pretty happy with that one as Buist and Marr make their way over the line. Will we see the Fiestas coming through? Yes, we will. Jack Davidson will take honours in that, but he's been pushed again by Simon Smale pretty much all the way. So there we see the results. Mortimer, Wilson, Buchan, he'll be happy with that one. Angus Tosh coming through as well. Cracking stuff. Let's look forward to race number 2.
Another 1st place position, but you had to fight for that one.
Yeah, I did. It was quite tricky that we're not on the newest of tyres, so we just I thought, you know, mid-race pace would be better, and which it was at the start. Paul did get a wee bit of an advantage, and at one point I was like, oh, this is a bad.
This is the race driver excuses coming out.
It is. This is the last one I've got left. No, but hats off to Paul. It was brilliant. You know, it was good to see him at the front. Good to see him he was pushing me really hard, you know, to try and stay with him. And then I think his tyres went off a wee bit and he missed a gear twice coming at the hairpin, and I just managed to get enough of he came across to me, but my nose was there, so he couldn't come across any further, and it was good. My car was flying, so big thanks to Edinburgh Watch Company and A1 Automotive and Vortex Exhaust. So I'm really chuffed with the way everything's going.
Good. Well, congratulations. I look forward to seeing another battle in race 2.
Thanks, and I'd just like to dedicate that to Martin Ramsey, who's a family friend from Shetland. So sad news that he passed away last week, but thoughts are with the family and friends.
Thanks, Ollie.
Thank you.
Race number 2 for the, well, yeah, big grid of cars now. It's good stuff, this, isn't it? The Scottish Fiestas, Hot Hatch and Mini Cooper S, and it's great to see it growing in strength and popularity, and it's also good to see that Mortimer had to work for that one. Let's see how this goes. Interesting start to this one. We'll see on pole position is going to be Simon Smale, and alongside Simon Smale we have got Stuart Scott, so strap in tight. Here we go, full complement of lights, revs rise. Oh, there's a long hold with this one. Out go the lights and down to the hairpin they all go, and Russell Morgan makes a stunner of a start. So Russell Morgan looks like he's refound his mojo, rekindled the fire, and has set himself up for a task in this race. Jack Davidson in the pack, starting a bit further back, and away go the Mini Cooper S cars down towards the hairpin. But it looks like Simon Smale will hold the lead as we went on board with red number 4. Jen Marr for a minute now. Look at Jack Davison on the left as we look from Lorne Murray's viewpoint in towards Clark Corner. Is getting pretty busy. Peter Cruikshank on the inside of Lorne Murray turns in. Everybody gets through the apex of the corner. Bravo, bravo. Down the back straight we go. The Mini should be arriving any second now. Who will it be, Mortimer or Wilson? And it's Mortimer, and Wilson has a huge moment. Well, that huge moment for Paul Wilson was because Ollie Mortimer went in there too fast, and Mortimer looks like he was well out of the throttle going through the corner, which caused Paul Wilson to lift, and the famous lift-off oversteer moment kicked in there. Cracking bit of driving for those two guys, obviously trying to brake as late as they possibly could for that corner, and almost ending in tears in the gravel trap. But yeah, great stuff. They keep going. The Fiestas head towards the hairpin, and look at the lead that Simon Smale has built up now as he comes into the hairpin. Russell Morgan looks at Jack Davidson. Jack's looking up the inside of, oh yes, Stephen Gray saw him at the last minute there. Stuart Scott will be looking at that in his mirror and chuckling all the way towards Clark. So Jack Davidson now to 3rd place ahead of Stephen Gray as they try and pick up a slipstream towards Clark Corner. And Stuart Scott has got a bit racy on this lap as Jen Marcy, Stu Buchan just ahead of her. Going towards Clark Corner, that's Angus Tosh who goes past that warp speed. Gets the apex, does he make the corner? Yes, he does. Proper overtake that from Angus Tosh as they go down towards the chicane area of the track. And as we get to the chicane area, Stuart Scott is now defending from Jack Davidson very early in the race. That Jack Davidson trying to go around the outside as they go up Duffy's Dip. Not an overtaking place there. And onto the straight to come. Has Stuart Scott got the horses under the bonnet in that number 3 car? Or will young Jack Attack spring it at the hairpin and head towards the apex up the inside? They come down, Scott defends, Smale on his own at the front doing a cracking job here as they're all jockeying for positions. That's because Paul Wilson now leads the way in the minis, and we've just seen that. Lorne Murray showing Mortimer behind Paul Wilson. So things all very much are kicking off, and they're all going to arrive at Clark Corner all together at very different speeds. So yeah, hang on, this could be quite interesting. Through they come, Smale, Scott, Davidson, Gray, Wilson, Mortimer. It's like a traffic jam on the city bypass first thing in the morning. Just nobody calls the police as they go down the back straight and over the chicane. Now the floppy bollards all still intact at that corner. Race control quite happy with that one as Wilson tries to go up the inside of Davidson. Davidson covers that one off. And this is starting to get a little bit close for comfort now as we see Wilson goes past Davidson at the top of Duffy's Dip. Mortimer, now a couple of cars between Wilson and Mortimer. Paul Wilson has arrived at the reverse direction race meeting, anti-clockwise configuration, a completely reprogrammed, remapped man, as Lorne Murray shows us Stu Buchan going up the inside into the hairpin. Mortimer trying to slither past Jack Davidson, does so and pulls out straight away from Stuart Scott and heads towards Clark Corner. In front of him, Simon Smale, because Paul Wilson has already deposited Simon. And look at that, that's the biggest lead that we've seen in the minis for quite some time when Wilson and Mortimer have been around. Through they all come, Kerb hopping further back down in the distance there. And Angus Tosh, what's going wrong with that? That doesn't look good at all. Was that oil out that car? Yes, it looks like something's going wrong with that car. Angus realises he's in trouble, he heads for the grass. Oh, where's he going to go though? Because he went sideways as he was onto the grass. And it looks like he was starting to have a moment. Davidson's in the side of Scott. Everything's all kicking off now as they come up Duffy's Dip here to the top of the hill. Jack Davidson was in the side of Stuart Scott's number 3 car trying to pass him at McIntyre's. But it was the Angus Tosh car which kind of frightened us a little bit there. Now into the hairpin comes Paul Wilson, a very slow Paul Wilson going through the hairpin there. Has the safety car been deployed? That's what we need to think, because that car, oh, Suzanne Buist, yes, and look at the track, you can see oil shining on the track there. Suzanne sitting in a horrible place and about to get going. Obviously a victim of that very slippery surface that is down just now as we head round towards Clark's. So something happened to Angus Tosh's car there, and then it's deposited all, whatever is coming at the bottom of it, I would imagine it would be oil. And then Angus has gone off himself at the chicane. We haven't yet seen where he lands. There you go, and look at, you can see the oil coming out, round and back across the track from where he spun. So the marshals will keep that car there, it will get recovered, and we shall have another shot at this race, because they can't race with that slippery surface on the track. You can see the guys all driving through it and just picking up on their tyres and away they go. So an engine blow up for Angus Tosh won't go down very well with him, and the second race of the day is brought to a premature halt just now. Back with the restart, all tidied up now. 5-second board goes out. Let's try that all again, shall we? 3 lights, 4. Full complement of lights, up with the revs. Let's see how long we get held this time. Computer flicks the lights off and down towards the hairpin we all go. And Simon Smale got a cracker of a start as Russell Morgan this time hooks up behind Stuart Scott. Jack Davison tries to go up the inside. He's already had a bit of contact as the minis go away. He had a bit of contact with Stuart Scott in the early part of that race at McIntyre's, and Jen Marr just a little bit off the back already as they come out the hairpin, head towards Clark. SciTech Racing on the side of that PCR run Fiesta ST, and look at all the cement dust. It's not actually cement dust that you use these days. That's a long forgotten old tale. It's now a biodegradable substance called gypsum, and that's very dusty but not harmful to the environment or people. Quick dry, easy dry if you're in America. Down the back straight they go towards the chicane, and already the leaders of the Fiesta charge are through the McIntyre's, Leslie's, and Simon Smale's under pressure. Davidson goes through at the top of Duffus. There's contact a little bit door to door. Hip and shoulder, as Paul O'Neill I believe would say, as they come onto the main straight, and Jack Davidson now at the head of the pack in towards the hairpin. And with this being a shorter race after the restart, Simon Smale's a huge moment through the apex of the corner. It being a shorter race, we might actually not see the minis car through. This could be quite exciting. We might get a Fiesta actual win the race overall. We'll have to see how the minis get on, because right now all the Fiestas arrive there, and then Mortimer and Wilson have got to try and fight their way through this pack. And it is Mortimer ahead of Wilson, with Buchan trailing and Jen Marr at the very back of that as they go down through Clark Corner. Suzanne Buist will be a little bit more tentative going through there after finding some very slippy oil at the last time and ending in the gravel trap. In towards McIntyre's we come. We go on board with Lorne Murray. What is on Lorne Murray's windscreen? Not able to see where he's going. Is that steaming up on the inside rather than mess on the outside? Or was that oil that got put on the windscreen? And he hasn't actually managed to get the oil off past the technical team on the pit wall. And Hamish Smart, former Fiesta racer himself, there in the cap, watching on. And look at that, there's damage in the front of Stuart Scott's car. The bumper has come dislodged, and that's probably why the technical team are down there. They'll be monitoring that, thinking, is that a hazard? Does he need to get brought in? As Russell Morgan goes towards Clark Corner, casually firing up through the gearbox. Stuart Scott will be, he'll hear that in the car, that's the bit, he'll hear that, and he'll probably smell the burning of it as well. And as we come down the back straight, we have got Jack Davidson leading the way from Simon Smale. Simon being very cautious as he goes through Clark Corner there with that quick dry that's down, but Jack Davidson, he just doesn't care, throwing caution to the wind as he comes up towards McIntyre's. Simon Smale trying to hold off Mortimer, but he knows that's not going to work. Mortimer does slide past. Paul Wilson trailing Ollie Mortimer in this one, with it being a shortened race after that red flag. Not really an incident, the technical red flag for the track conditions needed to get cleaned up at Clark Corner and at the chicane. With it being a 6-lap restart here, Jack Davidson is looking pretty handy right now. Russell Morgan incoming, no! Oh dear. Big intake of breath and exhale. We saw that coming from the minute we went on board with Russell there, and Stuart Scott will just think, what have I done to upset everybody today? Russell would not have meant that. That's just a mistake. These things happen. He's tried to go up inside and he'll hold his hands up for that in the paddock. And look at that, Stuart Scott's day is going from bad to worse. Russell Morgan and Stuart Scott both out of the race. Russell steps out of his car, damage on the front right, damage all the way along the left-hand side of Stuart Scott's car, and it's dislodged the bumper. Was that a wave back from Russell? Well, he'll know he's not done a good thing there. Red flags are having to come out again. So there you go, that will be that. As the red flags fly for the second time in this race. Contact at the hairpin, with Russell Morgan steaming into the side of the luckless Stuart Scott. And as the red flag comes out, Jack Davidson wins from Simon Smale, Stephen Gray, Ollie Mortimer and Peter Cruikshank, because the results go back one lap. Paul Wilson, Lauren Murray, Stuart Buchan, Jen Marr and Suzanne Buist. Let's hand down to Fee in the pit lane. Ollie Mortimer leads away comfortably in the Mini Cooper S Cup with an 86-point margin over Stuart Buchan. Mortimer, champion again. He is the man every season in the Minis.
So Jack, you're overall winner there, but that was a bit of a strange race, bit brief. Talk us through what happened.
Well, just off the start, it was quite hard at the start, trying to get through everybody from the back. But once I kind of got a bit of clean air, I was a wee bit faster. So I just had to keep pushing, and then red flag came out. Oil spill from Clark's all the way to Butcher's. So that kind of affected the race a wee bit. Went back out, kept pushing. Everybody was kind of slowing down for the oil, which was obviously what's expected. But no, it was a good race.
So would that have made up for the disappointment of race one?
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit harder to come through the pack and stuff. So obviously it's like kind of all year I've kind of been at the front and stayed there, whereas now I've showed like I can come from back to front. So it doesn't really. Yeah, but no, it was a good race.
And you've got the one more race to go this season, and that's it.
That's it. So I've got one more here, and I've got 2 more JCW race weekends, and then that's me done.
It's been a quick season, and have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been really quick. It's been good all season, so yeah, can't complain.
Well, congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Ollie, we meet again. When are you going to let Paul have a win?
Well, I thought it was going to be the first start of that race. I feel like bad for Paul because I've had a lot of luck where, well, twice I could tell you that I've had 2. It's worked out well for me. For the red flags, because I got a better start the second time, so I got in the lead. I knew that because the cement was on the track, over the oil, it was going to be slippy. But I thought a lot of people are going to be cautious here, so this is my chance to really take a risk over that, and then I'll get that gap that I need. And I did that, and then I got enough of a gap that I could put the Fiestas off, and then that was that. And then 3 laps into it, and then another red flag. But I hope whoever's crashed, and I hope it's not too bad. And big thanks to all the marshals and staff for cleaning it up so quickly. It's been a busy day for them. I've never seen so many red flags here for a few years, so it's been a good weekend.
Good. Well, nice to see you back on the podium, and we'll see you next time in October.
Thanks, Fiona.